On the June general election ballot, voters will be asked if they want to change the current election cycle to coincide with state and federal elections. Are you in favor of changing the election cycle, or do you believe it should remain as is?
I believe it should remain as is.
Okay.
The only argument that I can see that would support moving it is, well, two arguments, is cost, and I believe that I'll address that in a second. The second one is the voter turnout potential in a November election. I tend to disagree with that. I think that we elect every 2 years. Every 2 years there's an off year. There's not a presidential election. I think voter turnout in those off years are no better than they are in the June elections that we have.
Okay.
I think that our candidates could get lost in a ballot that has all of the judicial candidates.
Yeah, just that alone.
State, county, everything is. And I think you can get lost, and I think people lose interest when they get to the back page and it's our guys. So my feeling is that it's worth the cost. I think we can shorten the process. God knows we've been through this for 6 months now, 5 months. Shorten the process. I think we can, and it's the candidate's responsibility to get people to turn out irrespective of the date.
Okay. Should you win election to the City Council, you'll be part of negotiating a new contract next year with the unions. What would your criteria be for negotiations with the unions? Who would you like to see participate in those negotiations? And just some of the general criteria that you as a potential council person would use in those contract talks.
It's my understanding that we are not directly able to enter into negotiations as councilmen. There is a representative from the city who sits in. It's been the city manager in the past. I don't know who else would be uniquely qualified to understand the entire budget process other than perhaps the finance director or the city manager. So I would assume that they would continue to be the key element in negotiations at council's direction. Okay. The direction is, and the union is, we have them. We're partners with them, and that's fine. But I think it needs to be understood that it is a partnership, and as a partnership that we need to work together to get to the right answers. And in the budget process, we have got to look at everything first and then decide where our shortfall remains. Okay. And that is, at the end of the day, where we're going to have to get. So the direction, in my view, would be to, we need this, and it's your job to try and get it as best you can, and help the partnership by letting them understand where we are, why we are where we are at the time, and really that there's very few alternatives that we have. We cannot spend more than we take in anymore. Cannot do it. Okay. So I think it's just a clear explanation to the negotiating teams of where we are, why we need to make the changes or differences that we have, and communicate that.
Okay, well, there is, as we've discovered through some research, there is no restriction on council and mayor not being a part of those contract negotiations. So I guess kind of rephrase the question a little bit. Since there is no restriction, would you favor a council person or the mayor being part of those negotiations in the room?
Absolutely. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Okay.
As long as the balance of the council is informed and is in part of the direction process. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.